Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Tristcast. I'm your host, Tristan Dario, and I invite you to sit back, relax, catch a vibe, and enjoy the show. Hey y'all, take a moment before you get settled. Follow the Tristcast and leave a rating. Alright, I'll see you in today's episode. Peace. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Tristcast. I'm your host, Tristan Dario, and today is a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day to create. It's a beautiful day to get out in nature. It's a beautiful day to just enjoy as much as you can. No matter what is happening in life, we choose to see the brighter side of it. And we keep on working until we make it to where it is that we want to be. Today, I had the biggest heart-to-heart with myself. And honestly, I think I really needed it. I think it was the closest to my authentic self that I could actually get to. And genuinely, it was something that I needed to hear from within me, because when it comes to this sense of understanding oneself, it's really about really figuring out how we aren't giving enough to ourselves, because there's certain things happening in our life that we feel we should come last. And not even, we don't even always, not even more so of the time, forget ourselves consciously. Sometimes, more often time, it's subconscious. And it's because we get so excited with certain things that we forget to be there for ourselves. And we forget how important it is to really give yourself that time to be with yourself, love on yourself. And, there's going to be so many things outside of ourselves that's going to really, cause us to really think about how we feel about it, or how it might be, quote unquote, making us feel. But nothing can, it's an understanding of when certain things happen, how we allowed it to come into our lives. When I say that, let me say this in a better way. We can attach to certain things, because things are constantly happening. We're constantly changing, and we're constantly becoming a new person. And there's going to be certain events that happen in our lives, and there's going to be, for example, relationships, friendships, connections. When you're getting into a new place, you got a lot of stress. You might have a lot of anxiety. You might be worrying a lot about, oh, this happened in the past. What's going to happen this time? What we have to remember is this. What happens in the past is what helps us do different and learn for the future. You know what I mean? It's, the things that have impacted us in the past. That's a learning. It's the things that happen, we learn from them. It doesn't have to be us. It doesn't have to be like our mistakes. Our mistakes don't make us any certain thing. It's like a mistake is a mistake. We learn from it and we move on. That is the key. But when you're getting to these places and you're getting so excited, we can forget that we really need to be gentle with ourselves. Because, if in the past you were, hard on yourself, overcritical, it might impede on how you go towards something in the future. Or it's at least going to have you think a little bit more about it. And in my personal experience, it's really all about giving enough to yourself. We can give so much to our surroundings, the people that we're around, but when we aren't intentional about the time we give to ourselves, you got a battery of your own. We got a battery of our own. So it's very important that we recharge it. Things can be so exciting and you can forget to hydrate. You can forget to have that quiet time. You can forget to really sit down and put time into your hobbies. You can forget how important it is to go outside. When you get caught up in certain routines, it can possibly cloud those areas that we are forgetting. And that's why it's important to reflect and take time to notice what isn't getting enough time, or if it's not getting enough, we're not getting in enough. And we should. As us people, humans, we all recharge differently, and we all have to put time into ourselves, because it's like when, for example, if you are new in a relationship and it's going really good, you're really enjoying yourself, you're spending a lot of time with the new significant other, you guys are taking time out, getting to know each other, and you're going out enjoying yourselves. You might, if you haven't done the work, you might forget how much you might need to do for yourself. And so that's why it's so important that you really be intentional on, keep track of what helps you get back into the swing of things. Because when you stop giving yourself the energy that you need, i.e., watching your new movies or your TV shows that you enjoy, or go out and draw, or do some painting, make some music, whatever you want to do, play tennis, or go out and hang out with your friends. It could be a numerous of things, but what's important is that you're putting time into you. It's not like you got to stop giving up time for the other person or your other friends and stuff like that. But if you're constantly going and going and going, you're going to hit that burnt stop. You might get depressed. You might get just annoyed and frustrated, and you just can't handle it. I hear myself in the microphone, and sometimes it messes with the way that I hear things, but it still works. At the end of the day, though, if you're giving yourself the time that you need, it's very important. It is so good that you're doing it, because you forget. You forget that there are things that you can learn about yourself, and you forget that you are still learning yourself. You're still figuring out what it is you're looking for. You're still figuring out what it is you want. You're still figuring out all this shit at the same time as everyone else. So when the next time you're thinking about giving and giving and giving to the people around you, or in whatever degree that it's about, like your job, if you're overachieving at work, or if you're trying to get somewhere higher, you're trying to get a promotion, you can do all this, you can put all this time and effort and intention into it, but if you're not putting it into yourself, you gotta have that time to sit down, go to your hobbies, recharge, hang out with your friends. Dude, do something that's going to ease yourself and let you ease back into it, because you're just going to get overwhelmed. And you don't want to get overwhelmed. Once you get overwhelmed, it's like you don't have time for anything else. That's why really it is important to stick this kind of time where you're putting it into yourself and you're really recharging, because it's going to be better for you in the end, and it might even help out the people around you that you are invested in. It can be hard, it can be stressful, and it can worry you if you're used to overthinking a lot. But you shouldn't feel guilty of putting time into yourself, because you, at the end of the day, are all you have. And if you're more worried about, oh, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to make sure I'm putting all this work and effort in, dude, you deserve that too. Okay? So it's really important that we sit down and we pay attention to this, and we notice the facts that we, as human beings, we are meant to go out and seek connections. We're meant to go out and find purpose. We are meant to go out and achieve all these things, depending on what it is you want to achieve and what your goals are. But when you stop paying attention to yourself, that is where that's where everything starts to downward spiral. And the whole point is, like, you want to be able to spiral upwards. You want to be able to, but it's also, it's a flow state kind of thing. But the purpose is really, really important to put that time into yourself. I love to write. Writing is my way. Being able to get all those thoughts up here out on paper. I'm working on a screenplay right now, and that has been so helpful with being able to come back to myself. Because when we are able to take our life experiences and we're able to put them into something that we really enjoy and like, it kind of really turns you around, and it helps you think about your own situation, the kind of things you're going through at the moment. It really helps you get back into it. So, believe it or not, it's really important that you do it. And I know I keep on saying it's really important. It's an emphasis, obviously, but it's because I can get into the habit of myself. I can get into the habit of it myself. I get so busy that I forget that meditating for 10 minutes is really important. It helps you slow down, helps you really listen to what's going on within you, listen to your thoughts, and then let them go away. Listen to your body and see what happens throughout the day. Do your stretches, do some yoga, find a way to go within yourself or to touch base with yourself. I don't know how other people tend to do it, because I have some friends that just sit in bed and they watch TV, or I have friends that go out and go to the gym. I have all of these different aspects of what I can go and do. It's really just about what makes me feel most at home, what makes me feel most safe, and what is going to help me really feel connected to myself. Because it's not, like I said, it's not selfish. It's not. You're actually benefiting not only yourself, but the people around you in the end. If you're giving more to yourself and you are making time, if you're making time for it, it's, believe it or not, it's going to end up working in your favor, because you come to realize more and more things about yourself, what it is that you're looking for, or this or that. It's going to be a range of things, because you're paying attention to your own self and you're paying attention to what is actually happening around you. So don't over-criticize what's happening around you. More so, be open to it and be understanding of it. Seek to understand. And then when you have figured out what it is you need, give yourself that. Sometimes all we really need is to go outside and lay under the sun. I say that quite a bit to people because I love being outside. And vitamin D is very important. And no one realizes that vitamin D is, that's going to help you regulate your emotions. It's going to help you regulate your energy. It's really going to help you stay regulated in the terms of, if you find yourself depressed or going back and forth in that little cycle. I don't know. Obviously, we're different, but at the same time, our experiences can be similar in ways. But when I'm depressed, one of the best things that do help me is being able to get outside more, being under the sun, doing some art, doing something that helps me connect to myself, to figure out what it is I need exactly, And most of the time, it's just rest. I started a Substack recently because I do genuinely love writing, and this is a new way for me to get my thoughts out on the table. And I started this new weekly newsletter where it's about my pivots, like how I'm pivoting or my experiences and what I'm figuring out along the way. And it's kind of connected to the Tristcast. You know, what I talk about here could end up there too. It just depends on how deep the conversations go. But when I started this Substack, I didn't really know what it was going to be besides, you know, putting in poems, putting in things that are going through my mind. And then I really came up on the idea of pivots and movements. Pivots and movements is about the things that happen in life or along the journey and, you know, how we are going through them. And I guess it's an optimistic approach because I am naturally optimistic and I try to find a way to make a positive thing out of it. Obviously, we can't be positive all the time, and it is very important to feel your feelings and feel every emotion, not just be happy. Being happy cannot be your end goal all the time because we are humans and we are meant to experience all sorts of emotions. That's what helps us figure out what we like, what we don't like. If you're happy all the time, you're just staying happy and you're not truly understanding what it is around you. So you got to feel that moment, or you got to feel that time when you're sad and you're not feeling good and you're pissed off that nothing's changing. The fact that you notice that things aren't changing and you want things to change is a step in the right direction. We can all be afraid of what's coming or what's ahead. We can definitely be afraid of that. But if that controls the way that we walk through life, how are we going to grow or heal? You know, we're just constantly staying the same. And I, for one, don't want to stay the same. Because if I remain the same and I remain the same version of myself, I feel that I'm not going to become my most authentic self. I don't think this is my most authentic self. I think this is me being more authentic, me more connected to who I am, but I'm still on the path of becoming an even further version of myself that's even more down the line, you know, stronger, more wise, more able to achieve things. You know, I'm still capable of anything that I put my mind to. But if I do that, if I put my effort into my goals and chasing my dreams, working toward them, making them come into fruition, that's going to change me over time because life experiences are going to come in and make some sort of play within my life as I'm doing that. So it's really important to be aware of when our cup is overflowing to other people or other places, or when our cup is basically empty. We need to be able to pour more water in it. It's just like watering a plant. If you're a plant person and you're going to work every single day and you're not putting any water or watering your plants are going to die. And your plants are going to become dry and they're going to be brittle and they're just going to be falling apart. So, do you want to be falling apart? You don't. You don't want to be falling apart. If you're falling apart right now and you feel like you're falling apart right now, I guarantee you we just have to make at least one change daily, and that's going to make that positive change that we're looking for. We may not be happy when we do it, and it may hurt, and it may not feel good, and it may not be what it is that we want to do, but subconsciously that's because we're chasing something. And you know, our ego is going to come in and tell us that it's scary and we don't know what's going to happen and we don't know how to do this. But, you know, if we do that, if we give in to that and we don't actually try, we're just going to keep falling down. And we don't want to keep falling down. What is it that we say here? We want to keep moving forward and we want to get up every single time we fall. Because the more we get up, the closer we get. And that's all it's about. And sometimes when we fall really fucking hard. But that doesn't change the fact that we have fallen really hard in the past and we're still here. I'm grateful that I'm still here, you know. The amount of times that I've fallen down, but it hasn't stopped me from still trying to achieve. And I still have things I'm thinking about. There's things I still care about. That's what matters to me, is that if I gave up, I wouldn't be close to achieving my goals. If I gave up, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be here right now if I gave up. And I hope that is a sentiment to keep pushing. We're not making great change, or we're not really making great change within ourselves, and we're not truly growing unless we are facing adversity head on. Adversity can be scary. Adversity can really hurt us, and sometimes we can feel so low from it. But if we let that win over us, I think it would bring us lower than that point. And I think that's where it's really going to be scarier. It's going to be harder to get back up. And there's going to be times in life where we got to get back up, and it's going to be really hard and we're struggling. But if you have a good connection of people, if you have a good network, if you have good friends, good family, their support really helps. I have really close friends that always offer their support if I ever need it. And I the same, because that's what you need. You need that connection in that community. It's very important, because if you don't have it, I feel it gets so lonely. And you get these thoughts in your mind that are going to tell you that you're alone and that you're the only one going through what you're going through. You're the only one experiencing life. But it's just not true. It's not. You're not the only one experiencing something that's been like a struggle for you. Your adversity, you're not alone in your adversity. If we actually were able to talk more to people who are facing adversity on a daily basis, I feel like we'd have more connection. That's why I always open up to people about mine. I always open up about my adversity. And I think that's why, people seek genuine individuals. They you don't just go up to anybody and just talk about your stuff. You want to find people that are going to listen. You want to find that place where it feels like you're fit like a glove, and that takes time. I'm not saying that you can just get out there right now and find it, but I think it takes taking that step to go and not allow the fear of, oh, what if people see this? At the end of the day, you are going to have to go out there and be vulnerable. If it is what you're looking for, if you're looking for people to connect with, if you're looking for people that are similar to you, people that you want to be able to tell the deepest things within yourself, you have to go out there and practice. You won't always meet the best people or the people for you right away, but what you will be doing is gaining experience on how to connect with people. If you're not good at it, you need to go out and try. Because whether or not it works out, whether or not you're awkward as hell, or if you're not awkward as hell and you just naturally get along with people, either way, you got to get out there and practice. Either way, it might be easier for other people than others, but at least you are trying. And do what you can. Don't try to force it in every area. Because if you're forcing it, it's definitely not going to work. It's kind of like when you're forcing things, there's going to be so much resistance, and you're going to feel like, oh, I'm trying so hard. Why isn't it working? Dude, cut yourself a break. You can't control it. Enjoy it for what it is, because all it is an experience, and you're learning. And you're trying to understand more. And sometimes, as I said, it's going to take more times than just a few to get into it, to get used to it. I also stream. I also stream on Twitch. And a couple times now when I've streamed, I've met like one or two people. And, dude, they just... I'll get on and play with you right now. That's one way that I just meet random people. Do I know them? Is there, a deep connection? No. But it's the fact that I'm trying. You know, I'm not being like, oh no, I'm good. No, it's more like, yeah, dude, fuck it. Possibly a new friend, definitely a new acquaintance, that's for sure. New person to hear their experience or about them. And if it ends up clicking or if we hit it off really well, play some more, build that friendship more. Then eventually, you want to meet up sometime? Absolutely. You know, and that's just another connection waiting to happen. It takes effort. And if we're not putting effort into that, it's just not going to work. But that is the same thing as putting the effort into yourself to recharge, to give back to yourself. You know, people are going to have all these opinions of you. They're going to have ideas of you. And the more that you go into it with love and understanding and trying to just see and understand from what you can, rather than just trying to form an idea, I think you'll find more of a deeper connection, because I feel like when you have an idea of people, you're building a sort of, surface level type feeling towards them, or, an idea of someone is just seeing the surface level of them. And it shouldn't be that. If you're seeking friendship, if you're seeking connection, it should be about getting down to the deep details. Now, obviously, you can't just go right into it and be like, "Hey, dog, tell me your deepest trauma." No, you don't go into it right away with that. But sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes you might get really, really comfortable and you might just do that, or you might just talk about something that you've already done the healing and that you've grown from. So you just want to talk about your experience. You want to talk about who you are now. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's actually quite vulnerable to be able to open up and talk about those things. And I think that's what brings more people in. It also invites a space for people to feel comfortable to talk about their own. And I think that's really cool. I like that a lot. I genuinely like holding space for people, especially if they have stuff going on and they just need someone to talk to. That's me, man. Like that's me. And if you want to share with me, you share with me. If you don't, then it's fine. I'm not going to force you to do it. But just know that door is open. All you got to do is ask. And I know I can do that with my own friends. I can do that with the people that I know, because I feel safe there. It's we may not always feel safe, and I think that's what gets in the way of being vulnerable, because I know people tend to not want to feel unsafe or uncomfortable when talking about their own stuff or being open about what they're experiencing, or they don't want to be a burden. That's also another thing. You don't want to be a burden. You don't want to overwhelm people with your own stuff. And that's valid too. That's completely valid. But if we are just overanalyzing every situation and we look at our decisions and we're just like, "Oh God, oh no," and you're just over criticizing yourself, I feel like that is a sort of abandoning ourselves. It's because we need ourselves just as much as other people might need us. And for us to be the best we can be for others, we have to be good to ourselves. So I really invite people to, learn to say no. And you don't have to feel guilty for it. You don't have to feel bad for it. It's fine. I'm learning to say no more and more. I say it a lot more now than I used to, and I love that. I genuinely love that about myself, because it took a long time for me. Did I used to be a people pleaser? Absolutely. I believe it was something that I think I learned that as a child, people pleasing, but also, other things, among other things. But you don't have to. And if you're so afraid of how other people are going to respond, if people respond in a negative way, or they're just not having that you need time for yourself and they're being selfish and they want you, remember that no matter what other people might say, how other people might think or perceive you as putting time into yourself, if you need it, you need it. And if people can't understand that, that's on them, not on you, ever. I mean, genuinely, don't be rude, don't be mean, well, put yourself first. That's for sure what I mean. And not in a selfish way. If you feel that you're giving too much of yourself in different areas, you need to be able to take a stop, put time into yourself. Be able to sleep it off, But let me take it back to the Substack. Pivots and movements. Pivots and movements. Today, I was reflecting on yesterday's newsletter for the week. And I named it, basically, I believe it was like, why are we stressing? We should just sleep it off. And really not even the topic, but more so the emphasis that I place is even something that I did yesterday after the fact. I did also a TikTok. And basically what I mean is, when you got so much going on in your life and you're trying to make sense of it all, or you're trying to stay strong through it, you have to remember that it's not that fucking deep, and you're going at it the best way you possibly can right now. And that may look different for other people, but at least you're trying. There's people out there that aren't trying. There's people that run away. There's people that just stop and give up. But if you're continuing to push, you're choosing to keep going. And I think that is a more admirable decision than giving up. Because if you were to give up, and if you stop giving into yourself and you just let yourself rot, you're not going to move. You're not going to grow. You're just going to stay in that same place. And me, myself, I don't want to be in the same place. I am very open to change. I am grateful for the fact that change enters my life. And the more that I allow and don't resist and don't try to force, I think whatever is for me comes to me, and whatever needs to happen teaches me a lesson. And that lesson is going to benefit me more later on than it may feel in that moment, because obviously when certain things happen, it feels like the end of the world. That was another thing I wrote on my Substack. Things can happen and it can be like the end of the world, and it can be like the world is falling apart. But think about how many times in our lives already that the world has felt like it was falling apart, but we still made it out on top. Yeah, was there a little bit where we were really low, or that we were going through really hard things? Yeah. That doesn't diminish the work that we had to do to get here, but it puts an emphasis on how much it really does mean that as long as we don't give up and we keep going, it really does us a service the more we put time in ourselves. And if you're not doing it, I recommend you do it, even if it's something small every single day. To me, it's like meditation. I really don't do it nearly enough as I should. But at the same time, when I do get to do it again and I start to influence it back into my daily routine and I start getting more tapped in, dude, I feel better. I feel more clear-headed. I feel like I can breathe deeper. I can really feel what's going on within me. And since I was in a car accident a few weeks ago, and I finally, got to get some help for my areas that were hurt, I think I feel a lot better. And when I get to stretch, or when I get to put time into my health, because there was a time where I wasn't, which ranges, that is something that repeats itself, that I try so often to keep as a routine. But, I'm not perfect at it. I'm not. Just like I said, I stopped meditating so many times, but I always find my way back. But I feel like that's the point. It's like the point is, you keep on doing it until it becomes something that you keep on doing it until it sticks. And once it sticks, you're going to get more of those longer lasting benefits of meditating or doing your yoga, becoming more flexible. It's to our minds, we may not always feel like it matters, but it does, especially down the road. The more you grow up and the less stretching you do, you're going to feel it. And you're going to be like, holy shit, what did I do? What am I going to do? And you don't want to get to that point, because that's the point where you're like, oh shit. So do the things. It doesn't have to be meditation. If you don't want to do it, that's your choice. That's just one of my hobbies. But it's more on the lines of, you got to tap into the areas that help you most recharge and come back to yourself. And if you like to really reflect on yourself and what really makes you feel comfortable, put down your boundaries. Write down your boundaries. Write down what it is you need for you to feel comfortable and safe and able to truly relax. If you're just sitting down, laying in bed, watching TikTok or scrolling on social media in any sense, you're just overloading dopamine receptors, and you're just doing this intake of constant dopamine and media. And that's why they say less social media is so important, because that itself can be such an addiction. It's a dopamine addiction. You're just looking for something to get your mind off of what you're dealing with. And dude, if you use substances, if you smoke a lot of weed, if you drink, I talk a lot about my history with drinking and smoking and substances at all. I'll just say substances in general. Some of them are going to be much harder. It takes a lot more to get off of. So if you're on anything strong, I highly recommend that you seek some help in some way to wean off, to get off of what's holding you back from reaching levels in yourself that you didn't understand were out there or possible. Because when I started realizing what's really out there for me, and all it takes is really putting time into myself, that is when greatness starts. And I heard an incredible video today on TikTok, speaking of which, and it's someone on there that really talks about their own path and journey, and they have really short stories, and they just go at life with that choice to just keep going and see the beautiful things in life, whether or not they're big or beautiful or small, But it's like admiring the fact that you can find yourself in so many different ways in this life. Summer 2024 is going to be so vastly different. It's going to hit different. It's going to be incredible. It's going to bring great things. It's going to bring an influx of beautiful, abundant things. So be open to that. I know you may not feel it, but the more you say it, summer 2024, going to be bonkers. It's going to be so dope. It's going to bring abundance. It's going to bring love. It's going to bring whatever the hell you want it to bring. Truly believe it. Because the second you start to let that dwindle away, bro, it's like it's going to fall off, and then it's like this whole the sky's falling thing. And the sky's not actually falling. You actually are doing great. You're exactly where you need to be right now. And whether or not it makes sense, whether or not you're scared or going at it with like a bull, bro, if you're fighting hard and you're excited for what's coming, I'm excited for you, because I, like you, know what I believe in and know that I believe that greatness is coming. And I've been saying it for such a long time that greatness is coming. It may not feel like it all the time. It may feel like shit. It may feel like you're the fucking wicked witch of the West. Water fell on her and now she's melting on the floor. That's what it could fucking feel like right now. But don't let that stop you. Okay? You gotta be delusional. You gotta force that belief that no matter what is happening, it's getting better. And I got a lot of shit coming up. I'm moving away. I'm moving back to my hometown. I'm really going back to my roots. I'm going to be with my family. I'm going to be around my friends. I'm going back to school because the year's been nuts and I didn't get to go back last year. So guess what I'm doing? I'm putting time into myself, into my passions, and I'm not giving up, especially this time in school. I'm pushing it. I'm going to succeed it. I'm going to come out with a bachelor's. I'm going to come out with more on my desk, I'll say, my analogy. I'm going to put more fucking plaques on my desk, and I'm excited for that. I'm not going to give up. And if that ends up not being a part of my journey, I just put in my application. I already did my FAFSA. I'm excited. We're waiting. We're going to figure it out soon. But, I'm putting effort into my own life. And that's what we all should be doing. So whatever you're passionate in, if you want to start a podcast, do it. Start your podcast. If you want to talk about anything, do it. If you want to stream, do it. If you want to make more art, or if you want to start painting, do it. You don't even have to fucking know how to do it. Use whatever knowledge you might have about it and go at it with your soul. Do it with love, because if you're doing it with love, you can't fail. You just can't, because you're doing it with that energy, that intention. But don't forget to put it into yourself. Things are going to get crazy coming up soon. I am hell bent on making this go on for longer. I'm hell bent on this, and I'm hell bent on achieving my goals. So no matter how hard, no matter how much it might scare me, I can't let go of it. I'm not going to let go of it. I'm just going to flow, take it as it comes. That sounded weird, but as life goes on, I just have to keep up with it. And that's what I'll do. It's when we are overstimulated, overwhelmed, that's where it's all really going to feel like everything's happening in such a big, big way. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a little bit smaller than how it really feels and seems. Because think about how much we've already done before or experienced, and think about how we felt in those moments, and how tired we were, and how much we didn't want to keep going, and how much we just wanted to stop right there. I keep saying it. The more you keep trying, the more you keep putting love out, the more it's going to come back 2 times. It's the more you put in, the more you're going to receive. So you just keep on going. And if it's not happening as fast as you thought it was going to go, dude, at the end of the day, you don't know when your big break's going to be. You don't know when you're finally going to be seen, or even if that's not what you want, you don't even know when something's going to happen in your life that's going to give you that vigor, that motivation to just switch everything up and be like, fuck it, we're not going to remain this version. We're going to move on up, and we're going to grow, and we're going to choose healing, and we're going to choose to expand ourselves. I was saying it a lot last year. Ram Dass, do the loving kindness meditation. Fucking sit down, center yourself, and then literally point out everything that you love and just keep expanding it and expanding it. And by the time you're done, you're 10 minutes done in that meditation, and boom, bro, you're already feeling a lot better. I feel like the more you express gratitude and the more that you express what you love, the more it can pull you out. And that's what we want. We want to get pulled out when, those emotions we're feeling are sticking, because the whole point is to be able to regulate, or regulate. That is a huge goal, to be able to regulate what's going on within us. But also, we want to be able to understand our emotions. We want to understand what it is we're feeling, and we don't want to be sitting there like, oh my God, there's something happening in me right now. What is it that I'm feeling? I don't know what I'm feeling. And then just staying hooked on that. You think staying hooked on that's going to change anything at all. It's not. You're just going to you're just going to be chronically tired and exhausted, and you're just not going to want to get up, and you're going to be deprived of the energy that you need for yourself. And that's why I'm saying, like, the infinite topic of this is, like, put it into your resting, put it into your own art time. Like, my schedule is like, put time into your creative intake. What is going to inspire you to make something new? Are you going to listen to a philosopher if you're into philosophy? Are you going to read a book that's going to invite you to see things from a different point of view? Or are you going to just open up about something that is just motivating you to either, like I said, you want to adjust into what you need. And then you want to bring that into your life. So what I mean by that, if you've had a hard time sleeping, or if you don't have good sleep, say you have insomnia and you just can't sleep, you do what you can that can also recharge you in different ways if sleeping's not doing it. But one of the main ways I do it, obviously I don't have insomnia. I can't speak on that. I would love to have someone who suffers from insomnia on my podcast so that I can have a further understanding of it. So keep out for that. When I meet someone who has it and they can discuss what they experience, that's going to help me along the way of further understanding. But when it comes to me, if I'm stressing out a lot, if I'm really worried, if I have a lot on my mind, sometimes it's really I just need to sleep. If you're overthinking too much, you probably are just lacking that time that you need resting your eyes. Or another way, dude, I don't read, but I have picked up a book, All Things Wise and Wonderful. For a man who doesn't understand what kind of books I like, it's better than just going out buying a self-help book, opening it, closing it, opening it, closing it. I think this is the farthest I've made in a book in a while, and I'm very proud of myself. My goal is to finish it, and I can't remember the last time my goal was to finish a book. So I'm proud of myself, and I'm working towards it. But when I get to lay up in bed, get to put these on, listen to my lo-fi, and I get to read my book, that's what my ADHD needs, and that's what recharges me, and that's what gets me relaxed and ready for bed. I've been doing it before bed, and that helps me get better sleep. So, damn, look at me figuring shit out. That's all it takes. Trying new things, attempting. Because if we're sitting there doing absolutely fucking nothing, come on, man, what are we doing? What are we really doing? I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes all we need to do is nothing. Lay in bed with nothing happening, just being with yourself. Bro, a lot of us these days can't do that. We need something to stimulate our brains, something to be able to focus on. But the more we just stay focused on something, our brain's not going to realize, like, when it's really time to relax, we're just using that energy until we're just like, oh, okay, I'm tired. I'm finally tired. Now I can go to bed. That's not what we do. We need to regulate our system. We need to get ourselves regulated. And I'm proud of myself for knowing this. Because when I was staying up until 4 a.m, smoking weed, playing video games, and not thinking about my health, not saying that that's not a good way of healing. Hey, listen. Not saying anything specific, but you know what I mean. But hey, I think this is a good place. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful evening, and a wonderful night. Peace.